When I think of innovator, creative genius, powerhouse entrepreneur, I think of Diem Fuggersberger. And when I think of Diem Fuggersberger, I also think of style, class, kindness, generosity, fearlessness, fierceness, determination, devotion, family, and friend. Diem is the founder and creator of the incredibly successful junior foodies range Coco Lucas and award-winning plant-based range Earth. She is also the co-founder and CEO of Berger Ingredients. If Diem and I share one non-negotiable, it is that we are flavor alchemists. Everything we create must be delicious. And it is her vision to deliver uniquely delicious, all-natural, locally sourced and nutritionally balanced meals to Australian children and Australian households. Diem's story is an incredible and most inspiring one. She and her family fled war-torn Vietnam when she was only 7 years old, and having barely survived a harrowing ordeal at the hands of pirates and the rough seas. Her family spent 15 months in a refugee camp. Arriving in Australia with no money, no belongings and no home, Diem has since risen from challenging beginnings to be a proud, passionate and fiercely values-driven businesswoman. Diem and her husband, Werner, have built a multi-million-dollar food manufacturing business, taking it from its early beginnings as a supplier of meat marinades, spices, flavor concepts, to a manufacturer of nationally distributed fresh sauces, muesli, ready-made meals. Berger Ingredients is now the supplier behind brands such as Sonoma, Peppercorn, Primo, Small Goods, Cordina Chickens, Emily de Bush, and Tiger Purrr. Diem is undoubtedly the driving force behind the factory operations, and in the years that I have known Diem, I have seen her win in 2 consecutive years the Australian Financial Review Award for Most Innovative Manufacturing and Consumer Goods Company. As well, Berger Ingredients took out the award in the Small Business category in the Australian Ethnic Awards. And I remember cheering her on with my big red pom-poms when she took out the Optus Businesswoman of the Year award. You will enjoy my conversation with Purrr with this powerhouse today, my good friend, Diem Fuggersberger. Come, sit down for a pot of tiger cha.
Yes.
We'll
Thank
put a
you.
little bit of oat milk and a little bit of honey in this.
Yes.
Please, my friend. Welcome. We were saying, 2014 was when we met?
Yes, and I remember I did come up to you and say, I asked you to be my friend first. Isn't it funny?
Well, let me tell you, I don't think I've shared this with you before. Where were we? It was somewhere we had to catch a plane to.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting at the airport, and I'm quite the loner when it comes to these conferences. I like to stand back and observe. And I was observing as we were at the airport, this beautiful Asian woman dressed in stylish, I think you were wearing something vintage and stylish. It was so beautiful. And I was observing you, and then I saw so many women coming to greet you, and you were the star of the airport. And I was like, I wonder who that woman is. You knew everyone. Everyone seemed to know you. And I just watched from afar, and it turns out that we were at the same conference together. Mm-hmm. And then you made a beeline for me and said, can I be your friend? Because you already said that you knew about Luke and about Red Lantern. And,
yes.
And I think we were inseparable at that conference.
Yes, because I've always been like a huge supporter of women, and especially a Vietnamese woman.
Yeah.
And I've heard about the Red Lantern story, and I go, oh, I must come up and say hello to my fellow sister. And I just have so much admiration for you. So I wasn't popular. It's just that I've been to the conference the year before, so I got to know some women before you, but a lot of people really, really want to be friends with you and to support you and just to give you a lot of love. So that conference was all about, supporting and endorsing other women. So I had it was life-changing for me.
Thank you for your words, Diem. And I think when you speak of words such as support and love and endorsing, you definitely embody all those concepts, all those elements, all those praises for yourself too.
Thank you.
Diem, I want to start the conversation by asking you Perhaps we can start at the beginning, because you have an amazing story, and it's not only that your story is amazing. I want to paint a picture so that others can see the world through Yimi's eyes. That's what I find fascinating, the world through Yim's eyes. And perhaps we can pre-frame that or frame that by starting from the beginning of where you think the beginning is.
The beginning would be, when I remember the very first thing, the thing that I've learned a lot is from my Chinese grandmother. Yes. She taught me so many little things that is a foundation or a concrete of who I am today. So, and I still apply some of the good advices or rules that she's given me. So I think when I was young, I was just always knew I always have this inner fire in me to make a difference.
Yes.
But I would say now I'm 51, and we go through so many changes in our life. You know, you get different stages where it was the right decision at that time. So I think many people has probably heard my story about leaving Vietnam at such a young age, and coming to Australia with no English and struggling with little things. So at school, because if I look at my life, I only really had 6 years of schooling in my life. I had a lot of gap. So I lived in the country where I attended only 1 year in school in Vietnam, and then I went abroad. So I missed all the schooling through the refugee camp that I stayed in Galang for 18 months. So my first schooling was year 4. I was thrown into year 4 without English. And then I completed year 10. So when I was young, I was such a follower. I never dare to speak up my mind. So I think all the hardships that I went through has made me who I am today. So I say, if I'm comparing of how I look at the world today, how I would do things differently today is I look at purpose for me. I look at the vision. I look at collaboration. I look at inclusive.
Yeah.
I look at working for people exclusively, but it's all about, what am I going to leave a legacy behind?
Yes.
What difference am I going to make? So I want to, and I'm in a position now where I've been really lucky, and I've worked really, really hard, where I got very good partnerships. Like the work that I do is very satisfying. So that's how I see the world today. But everything I do is always evolves around fashion, food, and family.
Yes.
And the environment. And I love animals. So that's how I see the world today.
That's how you see the world today. Was
Yes.
it always like that, Yim? I mean, the story, as many understand it, is that you built this incredible company from scratch, a $27 million company, and you lost it all. It's not the losing of it all that I want to focus on. It's that you rebuilt yourself again.
Yep.
You built yourself up again. What does that take? I mean, that would have been seeing the world very differently before and seeing the world very differently now. What does it take to be able to pick yourself up like that? What goes through your mind in these experiences, in these times?
Yeah, so the business that you were referring to building up to 27 million, that was really all Werner's work. And I think I play a
Werner is your husband?
Werner is my husband. Yes. So when Werner lost everything, it was kind of like my responsibility to do the reverse role. Yeah. And then in the family, and then at that
Yes.
time I had 2 young children. I remember at the time 4 and 6. And I've always wanted to, it was so important for me to be a role model to my family. Yeah. My 2 girls. So I think the way I look at it is I got thrown into the deep end. I just need to stay above water. And I'm the mother of the family, so I need to really drive that boat. And I knew that I couldn't do it by myself,
Yes.
but I knew I could do it with a tribe of my family. So
Yes.
we always, one good thing is we always stick together. And I look at it that, although we lost everything, but we haven't lost our mind.
Yes.
Our 2 hands, our integrity. Yeah. And I really need to do something about it, and which I did. I think it wouldn't be easy. The first 3 years would be times where my stomach would turn upside down. I haven't done a business before, so I had to prove myself a lot. And there were times where it's the unknown of what can happen. So the first 3 years was I can also fail as well. Yeah. But always in the back of my mind, option wasn't an option. I mean,
failure is not an option
for me. So I just had to march going. So you can say that it was really probably one of the hardest time of my life from between 2009 to 2013. That was really, really hard.
Tell me about some of the sacrifices you made, Yim.
So the sacrifices I made is, I had kind of like a lifestyle that was 5-6 star, and I think I've learned to swap my lifestyle. And at the end of the day, my children taught me that.
Right.
My children taught me. So, for example, it doesn't make a difference if you have that good life where you were, for me, if you're going on holidays, you have a choice to stay at a 5-star hotel. And my children taught me that you can do camping.
Yeah.
And, seeing the nature. Yeah. Because it doesn't cost you anything to go to the beach, to explore the rainforest, or to camp. And you just, little things like having instant noodle.
Yeah.
It's just all those memories, like you don't realize what nature can do to you.
Yeah.
Because, the sun, the blue sky, the rain, even I love walking in the rain sometimes. Just all those things, you don't realize nature can make you really happy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We are nature. Nature is very potent medicine, isn't she?
Yes, it
and
is.
she's free.
Yes,
and
that's
she's free.
right.
Mother Earth and Father Sun have cared for us for eons. And I love that your children have taught you that, Yim.
Yes.
And I think the distinction that I always make is that I have issue with stingy people. I don't like stingy people, but being frugal is intelligence.
Yes.
And so the sacrifices that you made was a lifestyle sacrifice.
A lifestyle, and also I think when something like that really happens to you is about, I say, my Buddhist faith.
Yes.
So again, it's from my grandmother. I think Buddhist faith has really helped me gone through all this.
Yeah.
And I think just changing your life to minimalism also help as well.
Yeah.
Because I think people always think of success as being materialistic. But success is more than that. Success is about inner happiness.
Yeah.
It's about, like for me, when I can add value to something, and it doesn't mean it's just my family, but business stakeholders, friend, if I know I can make a difference, that for me is a success.
Yes.
It's not based on, like I said, it comes in so many different forms.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge you, Yim, because we're both Vietnamese, and we come from very traditional or typical Vietnamese cultures where it is very much, you got to get the degree, you got to, become a lawyer or a doctor. Well, certainly my upbringing was like that. It was, a lot more violent as well. But it's, you've just broken all those,
I have,
all those expectations. I think we continue to do so. And so when you say success, is not all about materialism and materialistic things. Was there a time when it was like that for you?
There was, and when I look back at it, like at a stage when I was, especially at the time, I think it was about 2 or 3 years, where I just became a very young mum.
Yes.
And that was the first time in my life where I didn't work a lot, and I did a lot of shopping. And I look back at those times and I go, oh my God, that's terrible. It's just materialistic. I wasn't very proud of those moments. Do you know what I mean? Because I just shop and I wasn't doing anything that was adding value. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like all those things, but I probably do 1/10 of that now.
Yeah.
Do you know, like now for me, it's about the experience.
Yes.
And it's just a different mentality. Is I did a lot of those things, and like I said to you, we all go through things and we change, and the good thing is I try to become a better person every day. Even now I'm learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's the legacy we leave for our kids, right?
Yes.
Coco and Sophia are your children.
Yes.
I want to speak with you and have you tell me a little bit about the very, very successful brand called Coco and Lucas. I remember in the early years when you were telling me about this, and it was just an idea. It was just an idea. What is the inspiration behind that? And what does it take? Man, what does it take to build a successful brand? Congratulations, by the way.
I think also, Pauline, I think my ignorance of not knowing what I got myself into, because I didn't realize the phenomenal aspect of building a brand, because I didn't even understand what FMCG meant, and which means fast moving consumer goods. And I not targeted, but I was just going, I really want to be in Woolworths.
Yeah,
because Woolworths makes up like 43% of the retailer sales in Australia, is the most trusted brand and is the number one brand. And I like I said, I was fearless, and my ignorance also helped me because I had no idea that I put myself in the deep end.
Right.
Because I think building a brand is not just about having a product on the shelf. Yeah. And because my brand is about controlling things from A to Z. So it means innovation, idea, concepts, brand, marketing, sales, manufacturing, distribution, quality assurance. Like the process of having a brand from the idea to going to the shelf is phenomenal, and actually even funding it, because it's not just fun, because when you're funding a product that's in retail, you have to fund it in 3 different dimensions. So what I mean 3 different dimensions is you need to have enough stock to make for the launch.
Yep.
And then you have to have enough stock to make currently for today. And then you have to buy in stock, some of them overseas. So you're funding the business in 3 dimensions. And by the time you get the product on the shelf, you would have to at least pay 50, 60 people a month in advance.
Yes.
And, it's not just about having the product on the shelf, because how do you actually have something, a compelling story to tell, to make your product stand out? The sales, the distribution, and making the awareness and all the PR. Like, you've been through all this before. You know it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. And I tell you what, like, there's times where it gets a bit too much that you can break down and cry. And it's about putting all your heart, your soul, everything on the table, all that risk. And I've always been a person that if I start something, there's always going to be hiccups on the way. Yeah. Nothing in life is a straight line.
It's called life.
It's life. It's a lot of swiggle line, and there's a lot of rocky road. But how are you calm and patient and staying focused? Because sometimes you have a boat and it goes that way and that way. You have to know how to steer it back in the right direction. Yeah. And I think I was really glad that I have the resilience to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
We've spoken personally about our experiences with ourselves and the people around us, about depression, about having resilience, about courage and grit, and especially hard work. Do you think all of that is a lost art these days? Yes,
there is. There is sometimes, but there's a lot of founders who are doing it for the right reason. So if you have founders who are doing things with, making change, like what sort of a founder do you want to be? Are you a founder that's out there who's on the bandwagon just to take a piece of the cake? Yeah. That I shouldn't be saying these words. Fake it until you make it. Yep. If you're lucky, you will. But I just really think the one that is left standing are the ones that's kind of like got the grit. Yeah. Everything, it's all these classic words, but it is true. You have to work really, really, really hard.
Yeah, it is not easy, yes, and people want things to be easy. Yes, but there's something to be said for still staying in the game long after the others have given up. Right? Well done for that. Well done. When you talk about values, and we mentioned earlier that it's about working with good people. There are so many people who are not good people. It's a shame sometimes that we discover that they are not good people later down the track or not too late. But it's a very important value to have. I will only work with good people.
Yeah.
People who do things with meaning and to put that intention out there in the first place.
Yeah.
Sustainability is a value that is not going to go away, right? Can you speak to us more about the sustainability behind your own businesses, the sustainability behind the brands Coco and Lucas, as well as now Earth, which is doing very well as well?
Yes. So again, I want to take back to my grandmother.
Yes.
I didn't know that my grandmother, she's Chinese, she lived a sustainable life. So for example, when we were young, she would always get really annoyed with me if I run the water too fast, or she'll give me a cup like this and say, go to the coffee shop and buy me a coffee, but she'll always make me bring a cup.
Yes.
Oh, she'll use the plastic bag 10 times. When I was young, right?
I do that now. I annoy my children to no end.
Yes, and I was 5 and I was just annoyed. I thought that she was being stingy.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize she was all about the environment. Yeah. But that time, that was, 45 years ago. Who would have known what the word sustainability mean? Yeah. And I've always copy what she taught me throughout my life. Like, for example, I turn off the lights at home. I don't let people wash the dishes when they come over because they run the water too high. I just know how to save water, saving things like not using plastic. And when I went to Austria, Werner's mum, she'll make a bag for me because like in Austria, in Europe, they've started the sustainability 50 years ago.
Yes.
It was normal for them. Like, you don't get plastic bags. So when I started my brand, that was my chance to say, if I can sell 2 or 3 million meals a year, I don't want to be using plastic tray because that's not gonna get, but it won't get dissolved.
Yep.
The plastic. So I was the first brand
to
to start with a pulp-free sugar cane tray. And firstly,
well done.
There wasn't many on the market, so I actually designed my tray in collaboration with a packaging company. And every time I use that tray, it will cost me at least $250,000 more a year just to use that tray. And my family said, Yimi, why are you using the tray? People are going to throw away anyway. I go, of course they don't care, but I care because I know what it will do to the environment in the long run. Yeah. So if you notice, all my packaging are 95% biodegradable. And even the sleeves, I use a craft, it's called a buffalo craft paper, which is highly expensive. So it's 3 times more expensive than any other. So if I look at in the last 6 years, I could have saved $1.5 million if I was using normal paper or a plastic tray.
Yeah.
But, when I look back, I've been recognized for my work.
Yes.
I've been recognized for sustainability.
Yeah. And the word integrity comes very strongly to mind.
And values. So we won an award in New York for sustainability.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's huge.
Yes. And so I'm a butcher's daughter.
Yes.
And one day I went to do a course in Melbourne called Meat. I was supposed to come back and export meat. Now I came back and my whole range changed to
plant-based.
And I've noticed one thing I'm really happy of, going on that journey is when you harm less animal and using less meat, I feel like my shoulder has felt lighter.
Yes.
More and more doors open for me. I feel a lot of luck. I feel like the world has been really kind to me. And we talk about greenhouse gas emission, because if all of us in this world can eat one day plant-based, you're saving 14% green gas emission.
Awesome.
And because when I was young, geography was my favorite subject. I've always loved the Amazon basin. I don't want things to be chopped down to make room to raise animal so we can eat.
Yeah.
So plant-based is kind of like cutting out the middleman. So plant-based is the journey I want to really focus my time on. And I think, Pauline, everything I do was very simple things. People must eat.
Yes.
It doesn't go out of fashion.
Yes. Even during a pandemic, people must eat.
And I think in 2050, we're going to have 9 billion people. Something has to change. We have to change the way we do things. So if we look at us human, we have breakfast, we have lunch, we have dinner, 3 meals a day. So if you have 9 billion people, you're talking about 27 billion meals a day. So if I can just take 2% of that cake,
Yes.
I'm feeding a lot of people. And it's the same, like, that's why when beverages eat. So I think I'm not that smart, I'm not clever, but I just think of simple concept and I apply that to what I do.
I actually beg to differ when you say that you're not smart or you're not clever. You're one of the most smartest women I know. So Yim, I love your big picture thinking. I always have. I love your big heart and your care for the whole.
Thank you.
As a butcher's daughter, what would you say your father would say to you right now doing plant-based?
No, my father will fully support me.
Yes.
Because my mum is actually a butcher. It's not my dad. So her whole family is a butchers.
Yes.
And my dad did that first move when we came to Australia. The first thing my dad did is, because back home, we don't have abattoirs. We had to kill the pigs every day.
Yeah.
And that's something that my dad didn't want to repeat again. So when we came to Australia, Dad said to my mum, she can open anything, but not a butcher shop. So mum didn't follow that her profession. So she opened restaurant. She opened a dry cleaner shop. And my dad is a tailor. So that's how I've got my fashion thing from my dad. So my dad, I think he will be extremely proud of me that I did plant-based 100%.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that story.
Yes.
And talking about tailor and style, it's one thing that I noticed about you, Yim, and I love about you, especially if we're talking about applying it to business and life, it's also your sense of style. Oh. It's the merging I see of high fashion, of luxury, and merging it with vintage. Old school vintage, and I love that sense of style and class. Can you tell me about some of the icons who have influenced you in terms of your style? And I can hear that resonate through the way you do business and the way you do life as well, merging the old with the new.
Mm-hmm. So it started with the vintage is I've always loved fashion. Like if I was to do my career again, it would be fashion, but I chose food. Is because I didn't have my dad on my side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because my dad is a tailor. So when he came to Australia, it was so, he did it for about 5-6 years where people will have things custom made tailored, suits. And my father is, he was always fearless and has his sense of style. Like he was very ahead of his time. So I've got that from my dad. Like my dad would teach me about, the immaculate work of workmanship. Like when I buy clothes, I look at the sewing, I look at how they sew the zipper, I look at the collars, I look at the cuffs. Like, my dad always said, Yimi, it's the fabrics and how it flows when you walk. So Dad teaches me a lot about texture and fabrics and colors, and I always knew what I wanted to wear. Like I buy things and I don't have to try it on because I know what suits my body. It started when I came to Australia. I love fashion, and the most luxurious thing my sister would take me is, remember Walmart?
I know Walmart, yes.
So if she got me a $20 dress from there, I would be really, really happy. And when we first come to Australia, we didn't have money. So who do you think I went to? Op Shop.
Yes.
So I was kind of like the little girl that wouldn't just buy a princess dress that everyone would wear, but I will come with something. So if I go to one of those Op Shop and I had one of those, $1 or $2 a day, so I will buy, I said, what can I wear that will make me, because at the end of the day, it has to be comfortable.
Yes.
And why is it unique? Because I've got $2 to spend. So I'll be the girl who will come in a chicken suit to a party because I want to be unique.
Yes.
And I think I'm so glad that at such a young age, I had that fearlessness, and I didn't really care if someone thought I was odd. But I think it comes with confidence. And I just love, the more I bought vintage and op shopping from St. Vinny's, I understand, like when I buy a piece, and sometimes I will find bargains. Yeah. Right? Of designer stuff. So I think when I look at that piece, is only a one-off. It's unique. It's history. It's got character. It's got charisma. Who did this belong to? I ask all these questions, and I love mixing a $2 top with Chanel or Balenciaga or all the designers I love. I'm not a person that would wear head to toe designer.
Yeah.
I think over years, I created that sense of style. So I would say my dad influenced me that a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
The word freedom of expression,
yes,
or determination to express yourself comes to mind, and expressing yourself in all areas, in the areas of style, how you look, how you think in your business and your life.
Yes.
I love that. How would you describe your father's style then?
My dad would, he would have certain brands.
He's passed now, right?
He's passed now.
Yes.
So my dad would have really a few brands that he loves, like Yves Saint Laurent, Dunhill. What's that other brand that?
Very stylish indeed.
Yeah, like he loves Gucci, but he would actually, again, he will op shop. He showed me how to op shop.
Yes.
And he'll buy a lot of new pieces every time he go to Singapore. But my dad always knew how to choose beautiful accessory.
Oh, yes.
So he loves beautiful sunglasses, and he will wear a really nice watch, and he'll wear really nice shoes, right? Those things. And I've got that from him because at the end of the day, like, I will wear something really plain, and I don't know how to style my hair because I have the same old boring haircut for the last 30 years. But I would wear a beautiful, so I collect a lot of scarves.
Yes.
And before I was talking earlier with Jessica that I love earrings.
Yes.
And every time I go to a new country, I find, not looking for it, somehow a pair of earrings will pop up in front of me, and it's a vintage piece. So I have about 300 or 400 earrings, and I love statement earrings, and I love crazy glasses. Yeah, so I think that's how I like to make a difference with scarves, earrings, sunglasses.
Yes.
Accessories.
And also the op shopping, it's sustainable.
Yes, that's right. It's recycling.
Yes.
Yes.
And the fond memories that come with it. And I love your attention to detail.
Yes.
In everything that you do, which is why I appreciate working with you so much. Yim, thank you for today. Lots of different insights into how you see the world. I want to finish today with 2 last questions. A fantasy question. I like fantasy questions. If you were given $100 million right now to change how you do life or to change how you do business, what would be the first 3 things that you would change with this money?
I've always loved my family. You know, as you can see, 5 of my siblings, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, they've worked with me.
Yes.
So I've always...
They're Trojans, by the way.
Yes.
They're such hard workers.
Yes. So I would always share with my family first.
Yes.
And my relatives. And I've always, you know me, I don't fundraise. Everything, if I ever give to charity that I believe in, it's always coming from my own pocket. So I've always knew that if I had this money, I will love to do twice a year. I don't specifically say I only help Vietnamese people, whoever needs the money. So for example, I watched one documentary, for example, I think it was Myanmar or Malaysia, I can't remember 2 countries, where, you know, I want to support projects where it's needed. So there was an area where the sea, like people rely on fishes, and because there was so many water bombing, they can't dive and spear fish anymore.
Yep.
So I want to go and do things like, this is one example, to go there and how can I work with the community there and help them, because I don't say, okay, I'm only going to give individual family, but what can I do in a horticulture way, how to help them rebuild the fishing in again for them in that community. So I would actually fund those projects. I would actually ask friends to come with me to help me. So for example, if we're going to Cambodia and there's a very poor village, how can we do to help that village? And then, you know, I've always wanted to give back, because what's the point of me having all this money? Yeah. I can't bring it to the grave with me. I'm not going to be happy with that.
Yes.
So I would say I like to share. I was sharing my cake. I've never been a person that likes eating by myself. I'm a bit needy like that. I love sharing with people around me who I love. So it will be family, it will be my relatives, it will be my close friends, it will be people that I don't know. I want to share it. And there would be some that I will give to Sophia and Coco, but I think I've actually raised 2 girls that I'll give them a little bit because I give them tools.
Yeah.
I give them fishing rod.
Yeah.
I don't want to give them fish. I'll help them a little bit, but I've raised girls who can really make it on their own.
Yeah.
Even like today, they don't work for me. They went out and find their own jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our responsibility as parents,
Yes.
right? To make our children or to assist them to be as self-sufficient and independent as possible.
Yeah.
I love your sense of generosity, Yim, especially, what would you do with $100 million? You'd give it first to your family, your relatives, the community outside, and then the community at large.
Yes.
Yeah. Bless you for your generosity. And I know that, it's not just about $100 million. It's actually what you would actually do. It's actually what you would actually do. Last question. What makes Yim purr?
What makes me purr is I love people who dare to do things that other people wouldn't do. I love fearlessness.
Yes.
But also, for me, these two words I'm telling you probably got so many, but sincerity, loyalty, and honesty is very important to me, because at the end of the day, I'm 51. I only want to be surrounded by those beauty hearts.
Yeah.
That's so important. Good people. Good, decent people.
Yeah.
I'm not into, it doesn't mean someone's successful. Yeah. I want to be around them. It's not about that. It's about hanging around with people that has the same values or the same energy. So like, for example, when you told me about Purrr, I thought it was so compelling. It's beautiful. And when I spoke to Emma, and when I spoke to you, and I spoke to Jessica, you all had different, unique, you had different assets and different strength. And it's beautiful. It's about working. At the end of the day, it's not just about the money. It's about how you do it.
Yeah.
And how honest you are with the brand.
Yeah.
And being honest with the brand is not easy, because it's about doing things the hard way.
Yeah.
That no one can replicate or copy, because it's not about the ingredients only. It's about the process.
Yes.
Right?
And thank you so very much for assisting us with the process.
Yeah, and how much love you can put in it. So I think for me, when it comes to what makes me purr, is I know that those words are very simple, but it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know that they do. They mean a lot to me as well. Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, my friend, for your sincerity, your loyalty, and your honesty.
Thank you. And I love you, Pauline. Like you're truly one of the most beautiful person. Like I said, we've met since 2014.
You're going to make me cry.
And then we have consistently been there for each other throughout this time.
Yeah.
And it's a
You
friendship.
have saved my ass many times.
No, don't say that. It's just that I want, you're a friend where I want to keep for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yim, I have a gift for you.
Oh no. Thank you.
This one here.
So beautiful. Everything's immaculate. Oh my God.
Have you seen this one? This one here. With the logo on the top.
Oh my God. So gorgeous.
Thank you, Yim.
Yeah.